The mobius loop that created Loona was a place of order. The girls were neatly organized into 3 worlds that overlap at very specific places. Everything operates by right place, right time. The girls walk the line between fate, destiny, and coincidence in order to escape. After they thought they had escaped the loop, they were pulled back in and all their hard work was undone. Instead of playing by the rules and playing the mobius game all over again, they liberated themselves by burning everything to the ground. This act of rebellion didn't hit a reset button on their world though. They now have to navigate the empty space that existed outside the mobius combined with the fractured pieces it left behind. It is up to Loona to create something new. Why Not, Star, and PTT all have similar world building and symbols, but show different parts of the plot. They each have their own individual message they're trying to portray, but are meant to be viewed together in order to get an image of what the new space looks like. A destiny discovered between coincidence and fate, Loona has created a wave of change beyond imagination through Hash, and has come to realize their true roles, to be pioneers for all the Loonas of the world. To celebrate the new moon, Loona is expecting a new moon to rise. On this occasion, they will hold a moonlight festival at midnight when the moon shines the brightest, a festival where no girl will feel silenced. Loona makes coincidence when destiny collides with fate, and finds her destiny within coincidence and fate to deliver a new message for the midnight festival. Why Not shows us the direct aftermath of burning down the mobius. It's our first introduction to the new space, and thus shows us symbols of ruins, creation, and our characters' personal feelings. We see things in ruin and devoid of life, like the messy grocery store and the empty desert. There are also things shown in chaos, like items floating or the rain going in reverse, and Loona's colors being thrown and mixed in the air. This idea is developed upon later in Star as well, that the new space is a place of chaos and also a blank slate for them to work with. A slogan that is touched on over and over is, "This beautiful night will make a better tomorrow." This appears both in Loona's photo book for this album, along with the lyrics for Why Not. In the music video, the scene containing these lyrics is one that puzzled many. It's the scene of Heejin and Hyunjin in black and white, in the blank room. It is a scene that stands out among the bright, colorful, and messy scenes of the rest of the video. Since these lyrics are so important, it takes this time to highlight this message along with showing the motif of the blank slate. The overall attitude of the girls is positive. Immediately after the moon burns down, their first focus is on that they are finally free. Instead of cleaning up the ruins or getting started on making the new space theirs, the first thing they do is celebrate. They are empowered by the potential the future holds for them. The symbol of running to come together from pre-debut becomes cars as they can work together and progress with more efficiency than ever. They celebrate tonight to make a better tomorrow. Inspired by the Midnight Festival, Sleeping Beauty, and Space, Star music video tells the story of waking up in a dream and pursuing goals and inspiration after discovering themselves in a mysterious space. Star shows Loona stepping into the new space physically. It shows us how Loona is empowered as a full group by this change. They run into conflicts individually and interpersonally. If we watch each girl separately, we can see their individual reactions and who they each turn to for support. We can see Heejin and Olivia Hye feeling fully connected as boundaries are broken between them. We can see Yeojin, Gowon, and Vivi stick together, and at the same time, we see Gowon and Hyunjin grow apart. We can see Kim Lip and Jinsol come into confrontation with each other. What it also highlights about the new space is the chaos. Scenes with bright colors, loud patterns, moving objects, and flashing lights are thrown around to express the feeling of randomness. Among this chaos, though, we see the potential for creation. We can see Jinsol and Cherry dance in the expanse of space and move the stars along with them. Inside this music video full of colors and patterns, the Loona girls are dressed in neutral colors, representing the blank slate they have to work with. Somehow the symbols in this music video give you the feeling that there is so much going on and somehow nothing at the same time. It's like they have an entire art studio to work with, different materials with a huge range of colors and textures, but nothing yet on their canvas. Their job is to pull things together out of the chaos to create something new. Loona became one after going through the round of faith, coincidence, and destiny. Loona has shown the effect of plus plus so far, gaining courage with the butterfly effect and finding their inner self. What's more is that Loona created a bigger wave of change with their passion to make a world where not even a single girl is oppressed. Loona holds a variety of symbolic objects that symbolize their dignity. Among those, the symbolic color has a significant connection with the message that Loona wishes to convey, and all Loonas are one. All Loonas in the world paint the world with their own colors and conveys the message that they will shout out "paint the town" in one voice after they've found their own colors. Finally conquering the Looniverse with their own strengths, Loona then discovers a bigger world that they've never known about. PTT shows us the color each member of Loona will paint the new space. Every girl has a scene decorated just for her in what I'll call the altar or the hallway. We see a room with a similar role in Star, where the living room scene is shown to be both empty and capable of being filled with stars. The altar and hallway scenes can give us clues to the role they will take in creating the world, how they each plan to paint it with their own color, and how they've changed and become more powerful since burning down the mobius. These two settings have the same effect as the previous two music videos in showing us the creation out of chaos motif. Another important symbol also returns from Why Not here, the storm. Heejin has two solo scenes in Why Not that show a storm. One scene has a dulled down, mostly monochrome palette with real storm clouds and lightning in the background. The other has angry red lighting and flashing neon lightning signs, along with the camera rapidly blinking between shots of her face. We can see all of these motifs return in the group dancing scenes in PTT. The first is more obvious, with the return of the angry red lighting and storm clouds, but it can also be reflected in this other dance scene. The flashing of black and white and the quick cuts also resemble Heejin's scenes from Why Not. Heejin's scenes show planets in orbit around her. There are 13 in total, including Earth. I believe there is a planet here to represent each girl, and the Earth represents orbit since all Loonas have become one, like the slogan for this comeback. It's easy to break the planets down into smaller groups that look similar to each other. There are 3 small shiny gold planets that I assume are meant to represent Odd Eye Circle. The rest of the planets can be paired up except for one. This tan planet is the only one without a pair, so I assume this to be Yeojin. There are 4 planets that look similar to a globe. One pair with sea and clouds, and the other with sea and land. Considering they look similar to Earth, they must represent Loona 1/3. Then there are 2 remaining pairs, 2 pink marbled planets and 2 blue marbled planets. These are left to represent YY by Y, most likely the pairs of Eve and Chu and Gowon and Olivia Hye. I'm not sure if these exact patterns will follow Loona since we have already seen another set of 12 planets in the Hula Hoop music video. But I think this makes an important point to represent Loona as separate entities that are part of one system. Heejin's individual scene takes place in the hallway. The decorations of her room are easy to miss, but in the background we can see her outfit from Vivid along with lots of white objects. Heejin was the girl who spread Loona's colors at the beginning of the Looniverse, so these white objects represent her new beginning. The new world isn't painted with their colors yet, so that's what they're here to do. Hyunjin's scene takes place at the altar, surrounded with bare branches adorned with curtains. Her scenes look very grand and she is shown in a way that elevates her. She holds a lamp on a chain that spreads yellow smoke around the room. In the past, smoke like this of a girl's representative color has been used to mark a milestone in their story, like Odd Eye Circle in Sweet Crazy Love or Gowon and Why Not. According to this, Hyunjin must have reached a significant personal milestone by ascending to her role in creating the new world. In many past music videos, Hyunjin has been part of a pair. Maybe her flying her own color is a symbol of her independence and her confidence to stand on her own. The Hyunjin we see in PTT is a very confident and proud one. It's easy to miss, but Haseul's scene takes place in the hallway. It's shown from a different angle, but the wings behind her are against a door that can be found there. There was such a significant gap in her lore story from when she was gone that makes this return all the more powerful. Butterfly's story shows Gowon crushing Haseul's feather and resetting the timeline to exclude the events of Let Me In, where she kills her mirrored self. What followed was So What, where the existing mobius along with Gowon's reversal was all burnt to the ground. Loona destroyed their existing world with fire, but that destruction is what brought Haseul back. The embers on Haseul's feather at the end of So What burn it back into existence. Then, when we finally meet Haseul again, she's fully empowered by fire, The burning of the mobius was a rebirth for all of Loona in a way, but Hassel was reborn by the fire itself. Her characteristics as a creator of the new Loonaverse is shown by her wings both glowing green and burning, empowered by both herself and her history. We haven't really seen Yeonjun embody the frog before, which is an interesting development. Her scenes take place in the hallway, but you can barely tell due to it being almost completely filled with rainforest plants. I think her finally embodying her representative animal shows her growth since the beginning. So far, she's mostly been the lost girl that the rest of the girls had to look for. By embodying her own symbol this time, she shows us she's ready to write her own story. Her and Eve's rap part in the song is also the only time in the music video that we get this scene. The setting is pitch black aside from a projection of wild colors and lights onto the wall behind them. It's kind of a jarring interruption because all the rest of the music video takes place in the same few places. I think this is here to remind us about the nature of the new space they're in while we are so tuned into their personal development. It breaks us out of the characters' minds for a few seconds to bring back what Why Not and Star shows us, that the new space is a place of chaos and a blank slate. Vivi is a character who was kind of thrown into her role in the Loonaverse. She has a lot of responsibility fall into her lap at once as she struggles to fit in with the rest of Loona 1/3, alongside them discovering Yeonjun's absence and the rest of the Loonaverse piece by piece. She steps up to the role of crossing into Eden to find Yeonjun because no one else could. I believe the Every Day I Need You music video takes place before Vivid, which would make it the only thing to show Loona before they became part of the loop. I believe the spreading colors of Loona that happens in Vivid is what turns Vivi into an android, so her meeting the deer in Every Day I Need You would be her last action on Earth as a human. Because the deer is her symbol in the Loonaverse, this meeting is symbolic of her about to become who she will be in the Loonaverse. It's a confrontation between human Vivi and Vivi, the member of the Loonaverse. In PTT, Vivi is decorated with pearls and shining silver, wearing a crown with deer antlers. During the entire story between Every Day I Need You and PTT, we haven't seen the deer symbol appear. It is powerful to see this now as she embodies the deer and is shown in such a grand and sparkling way that she's fully come into her own. Meeting the deer started her journey in the Loonaverse, and now she has become the deer. Odd Eye Circle definitely functions as a unit in PTT. While each girl separately colors their rooms with decorations that are unique to them, Odd Eye Circle's individual scenes come as kind of a set. We also see callbacks to past Odd Eye Circle symbols, like neon bars and rings, and their scenes are entirely enveloped in their representative colors. I'm interested in the shapes that they place with each girl. Kim Lip has neon bars floating around behind her as if representing chaos. Jin Sol has a neon ring forming a halo around her, and she stares into the camera unmoving. Her stable juxtaposition seems to put her at odds with Kim Lip, so she could be representing order. Cherry has a very dynamic scene. Placing her inside the purple ring puts her in a powerful position, like creation is under her control. We also see their odd eyes go through an interesting transition. Until now, their odd eyes have been shown as a crescent along their iris, but in PTT we can see them slowly envelop their entire iris. It doesn't remain as a solid color either. It takes on a sort of galaxy pattern similar to Vivi's odd eye in Love and Live and Star. Even in Why Not, we only see the odd eyes as crescents, so I think there is something particular about PTT that shows a step forward. Odd Eye Circle gained their powers because of their role in the Mobius. The crescent moon was an empowering shape that helped them to form Loona. But over the course of Gathering, the crescent moon symbol separately was used to show that Loona was incomplete, and the full moon shows when a milestone is reached, like when Odd Eye Circle all meets in Girlfront, or when Olivia Hye joins the rest of Loona in Hye Hye. Maybe the shape of the odd eye doesn't have as much to do with a change in their physical space, but rather that Odd Eye Circle has reached an important milestone in their self-actualization. They are no longer acting based on the guidelines the Mobius has set in place to create Loona. They aren't working along pre-planned tracks anymore. Now they have full agency over their own new world and what to do with it. Jinsol's solo shots have an atmosphere that is completely different from Lip's. Her decorated room is the hallway, but the focus isn't on the messiness of the room like most of the other shots that take place here. She has a halo of blue around her head and is surrounded by naked dress forms. Everything in this shot is directed at the camera, which gives a very sturdy and confrontational impression. Like Jinsol along with these objects is an obstacle in your way. The scene bears resemblance to ones where Olivia Hye stands alongside non-Loona girls, but instead Jinsol's support is in the form of lifeless figures. Cherry's decorated space is the hallway, like the rest of the members of Odd Eye Circle, but she also has a large presence in the stormy dance scene. Her scenes have a resemblance to the opening of Why Not, with the blinking and flashing between different shots with Heejin. Her purple light source is a big purple ring around her waist. Like Lip and Jinsol, her light also shows her current state of mind. Instead of embodying chaos or order, the ring around her seems to put her in the driver's seat. The light is centered around her as she dances and makes her seem more powerful and protected. It makes her aura seem stronger and portrays her as prepared and ready for action. The ring could also be a visual callback to Cherry's mirrors. Eve's room is the hallway, decorated a bit similarly to Heejin. Her setting also has her outfit from her solo music video on a mannequin in the background. We don't get a long shot of her scene like we do for some other members because it seems like the focus is on her actions. She controls the water casually and looks at it as if she's studying it. Eve has always been characterized as the most curious in Loona. Her curiosity is what causes YY to leave Eden. I think her scenes mostly are there to represent her role in the team as the researcher or the one making new discoveries. Chu's setting is in the altar room and is filled to the brim with flowers. The room also has the sun shining directly through the skylight onto her. These two symbols are closely intertwined with what we can see in Why Not. There are three main symbols in her scene in Why Not: the desert, the flowers, and the sun or burning moon. The dry landscape and old car makes this scene seem kind of bleak and exhausting, accompanied by the burning moon in the sky that makes it seem hot and gives a sense of danger. What contrasts to this scene is Chu and her flowers. Her dress is covered in flowers, her car is painted with flowers, and flower petals fly through the air around her, which make the setting seem more refreshing and pleasant. It also makes the light from the burning moon seem warm and nurturing instead of intense. The natural light and the flowers come with her into PTT, where she has the opportunity to paint the world in her very own colors, not limited by her circumstances or her surroundings. The fact that Chu's symbol has become flowers has shown her growth immensely. Before, Chu was often associated with things like snow and darkness, but over time this symbol was used less and less until it melted away to reveal flowers. The snow symbol came from when she followed Eve to Earth and was left out in the cold when it didn't meet her expectations. Unlike the other members of YY, it didn't really take a lot of convincing to get Chu to leave Eden. She just wanted her love for Eve to be reciprocated. The rest of YY's individual stories are about finding their own identities outside of their unit, but this idea was never really touched on for Chu. I think her change in symbols reveals that over the course of Loona becoming free from the mobius, Chu found her individuality and identity separate from Eve. She found that the snow was only the symbol for her trauma, and once she healed from that, flowers began to bloom as she began to find her true identity. So the items that reflect the colors she's painting the new Looniverse reflect that. These pink flower petals that float around in both her scenes in Why Not and PTT are specifically placed multiple times. They also appear in Star, where Gowon blows a bunch of them from her hands into the camera, and they are used as confetti in the scene with all the girls. We know a lot of Chu and Gowon's lore is intertwined, but since they are also used in the scenes with all the girls, I wonder if since they represent Chu's growth, they are also being used to show Loona's growth as a whole. That is not as far as the flower symbol goes though. This era gave Loona representative flowers to go along with their colors, numbers, animals, locations, and shapes. It'll be interesting to see how these things intertwine, kind of like how all of Loona has representative colors, but they're most important to Odd Eye Circle. Vivi and Gowon are framed in the same way by the PTT music video. Their scenes are very similar. It makes me think their symbolism is supposed to be interpreted in a similar way. Vivi embodies the deer for the first time by wearing the crown with antlers, so it would make sense that Gowon is finally embodying the butterfly by being decorated with them so closely. Gowon has been seen with butterflies many times throughout Loona's history, but they have always been used to represent events rather than characterize her. She has never embodied them and been self-actualized as the butterfly. They were always out of her control and represented something she released into the world that she couldn't get back. Gowon Gowon meets the butterfly at the beginning of her journey, similar to how Vivi does in One and Only. This is the moment where her journey in the Loonaverse begins. It's their first introduction to each other. The next time Gowon meets the butterfly is in X2X. At this point, Loona had been completely united and achieved their goal of escaping the loop. But Gowon wasn't satisfied with their ending. She feels guilty that it took leaving Olivia Hye behind to unite as a group, so she goes back to see if she can undo it. By reversing their progress in the loop, Gowon caused the butterfly effect and met the butterfly again shattered into pieces. Loona's song Butterfly shows us the importance of this event and shows us how the butterfly effect changed Loona's future. When Loona decided to burn down the mobius that had become unfamiliar in So What, we see Gowon meet the butterflies again as they fly away to become free with the rest of Loona. Gowon's course of emotions during this time is guilt over the fact that she shattered the butterflies and caused this much grief to the rest of Loona. The butterflies flying free were a step in the right direction for Gowon to heal. In PTT, we see Gowon's true colors are one with the butterflies. As Loona begins to rebuild from her and the butterflies' destruction, she's able to love them as a part of herself. Instead of trying to forget about the past, she accepts it and brings it with her in order to build the new universe. She surrounds herself with her previously shattered and out of control butterflies to become a more fully realized version of herself, and paint the new space in her own unique color. Olivia Hye has a very strong set of symbols connected with her. She consistently is associated with fire, the wolf, and the color red. It's no surprise that her scene at the altar for the new space would feature these things. Her representative color is silver, but the color red has been a complex symbol for her in the past. It has been used to represent her anger and love forever and egoist. Then we see it specifically correspond with fire in So What to show her resolve in burning down the mobius. In Why Not, Star, and PTT, we can see the color red become a symbol of her power and strength. The red light evolved over time alongside her as she gained trust and a home in Loona, and now is shown in a sort of elevating and powerful way. The entire composition of her scenes shows her in a powerful position. Her drum punctuates the entire PTT music video. If you compare the Olivia Hye now with the Olivia Hye we met in Eden, you can see the huge difference in her strength. Eden Olivia was scared and abandoned and acted out of impulse and anger. Now she's reeled back her anger in exchange for power gained from being a member of Loona. She's done a complete 180 from being a scared and unpredictable force to being a strong and solid member of Loona, keeping time and order for the rest of the girls with her drum. Most of the members of Loona decorate the hallway space. The altar space is only used in very specific ways. Hyunjin, Chu, and Olivia Hye's solo scenes, the group dance scenes, and where Kim Lip releases the black hole. Based on what we can see take place in each room, and taking into account the purpose of an altar, it seems like the altar setting is used to show the actions that are being taken to build the new space. The girls who decorate the hallway are scenes that show personal growth or discoveries about the new space. Hassel, Eve, and Cherry are shown to have new forms of elemental control. Hassel gains control over fire as she uses the phoenix to symbolize her return. Eve studies these bubbles of water curiously, which could imply there's something entirely new in the new space, and we could see Cherry controlling them freely as well. Heejin is given a model of a system of 13 planets, one for each girl plus Earth, and is later joined by the moon as well. She doesn't particularly control them or direct them intentionally, but instead studies them. Odd Eye Circle goes through their own transformation in PTT. Their odd eyes evolve from a crescent shape to instead color their entire eye in a galaxy pattern. This, along with the lights around them, could imply a development of their abilities. Yeojin, Gowon, and Vivi all have scenes where they embody their representative animal and have some kind of distortion on their shots. Gowon is covered in butterflies and is distorted in gold. Vivi wears a crown of antlers and is distorted in white. And Yeojin embodies the frog and is distorted in a hazy way that shows multiples of her. They are all shown having grown with this combination with their animals, and the distortion on their scenes could represent them encountering new things about the new space. The altar is the less commonly used setting in PTT. An altar's purpose is in ceremonial practices. Different religions may use an altar as a place to put offerings to their gods or as a sacred place to use tools to communicate with them. The scenes using the altar in PTT show which of the girls are taking actions to make progress in building the new space. The idea of PTT is to show how each Loona member colors the new universe, but there are also times where the altar is blank and undecorated. This time is used to show PTT's choreography, but also demonstrates Loona's synergy as a full group. These shots used in these choreography scenes show Loona's synchronization, power, and energy when dancing all together. PTT shows off Loona's colors individually, but doesn't let us forget about the power they hold when all together. Kim Lip alone also uses the empty altar. This whole setting is a callback to her solo music video, Eclipse, even down to the camera shots used. The entire Coliseum setting stands to replicate the one from Eclipse. In Eclipse, we can see Kim Lip accept her role as the leader of Odd Eye Circle. When her odd eye is triggered by passing Cherry in Sweet Crazy Love, she immediately finds the altar in Eclipse, and we can see her gain the knowledge of her role in the Loonaverse and accept what she has to do. Eclipse marks the start of Kim Lip's journey in the Loonaverse, which is one where she has to be an instigator for a lot of events in order to bring Loona together. We can see this leadership role again in PTT, where she returns to her altar that is no longer colored with her, but instead is a blank slate for all of Loona to color. She holds a symbol that represents a black hole and releases it into the sky. Her role pre-debut was to be the action taker. The descriptions make it very clear that Kim Lip's debut was a major turning point in the course of Loona's story. Here she still lives up to that role. Her face seems a bit unsure of what consequences her actions will have, but she knows that she has to be the orchestrator of this new system they're creating. Before, Kim Lip was empowered by the knowledge of what needed to fall into place for Loona to come together. What meetings had to fatefully align, what events needed to be carried out, and where they could go wrong. Now though, the order of the mobius isn't there to guide her. She made decisions to direct Loona in the past, but this is the first decision that is like a leap of faith where she doesn't know what could lie ahead. Even with all this uncertainty though, she still finds it a worthy action to take. We see Jinsul again at the very end of the music video, standing on the altar where Kim Lip has just released the black hole into the sky. She reaches up as if she wants to bring it back down. A familiar flower petal floats by her as well. It floats by as if the dust is settling from the chaos of the town being painted. Jinsul in the Loonaverse is characterized by being swept up by her own destiny. In Odd Eye Circle, we can see that she knows her step to take in uniting Loona is to deliver the cherry to Cherry, but she figures this out before she's fully ready to face it. Singing in the Rain shows us Jinsul's point of view as she carries out this mission, and we can see she is hesitant and afraid. Even after she completes her mission, we see her unsure of herself. It's not until she meets the rest of Odd Eye Circle that we see her breathe a sigh of relief that she did the right thing. We didn't get much information about her during Butterfly or So What, because I'm assuming she was led by everyone else's decision to burn down the timeline. It was unanimous that they couldn't exist there anymore, so her confidence was nurtured by everyone else's in their decision. But now here we are in the new space, and there isn't a unanimous decision anymore. Jinsul's confidence was never properly built up. It is always dependent on something else reassuring her that she made the right decisions. Now that it is entirely up to the girls on what to do, Jinsul's first instinct is to hesitate, which is in contradiction to Kim Lip's impulse to act. Her odd eye is shown in both Why Not and PTT, so we know she isn't against acting at all. She's just scared when this action becomes real. We can see their first confrontation in Star, and now in PTT we see Kim Lip take her first action and Jinsul wishing she could take it back. We don't know yet what the consequences of this action will be. We don't really know what the purpose of this was either. We're still in the beginning stages of forming the new Loonaverse. But even in Star, this conflict between Kim Lip and Jinsul is a main point in the music video. Kim Lip is portrayed as unsatisfied, staring out the window looking for what more could be out there. And Jinsul is juxtaposed in the center of the same room, steady and unmoving, padded and protected from the outside by the rest of the room. Their two perspectives have been clashing until now, until Kim Lip takes it upon herself to act. There are only 3 girls who decorate the altar as their own space: Hyunjin, Chu, and Olivia Hye. Each girl from this trio has a fundamental role in creating the new space. Hyunjin's solo scene was confusing for me at first because until now she hasn't been one to take much of an active role. But if you examine her scenes, especially in Star, it starts to make more sense. In Star, Curtains like the ones in her scene were one of the many symbols used to represent the chaos of the new space. Hyunjin also has a highlighted moment in Star where the girls forming a circle makes the stars appear to her. She's the first girl in the music video to see the stars, and she is also the first girl to cross through the red tunnels, which represent them entering the new space. Hyunjin spreads her own colored smoke through the distortion of the curtains. Historically, the girls spreading their own color represents a personal milestone being reached. This is the first time Hyunjin spreads her own color, but Gowon and Chu spread her color before in Hye Hye. We know Gowon and Chu contacted Hyunjin while they were still in Eden. And them spreading her color to show their milestone of reaching Earth tells me that she had a hand in guiding them there. They spread her color to celebrate her for helping them. So I believe the reason Hyunjin takes the altar is because she acts as a guide for the rest of the girls. Her smoke acts as a signal for the other girls to follow, as well as her reaching her own milestone by becoming the guide. She's the first girl to see the stars and the first girl to cross through the tunnel. Her smoke parts the curtains and she stands on the altar as she parts the chaos for the girls to follow towards progress. Olivia Hye's drum and her ring of fire is something that's prevalent in the entire music video. In a way, her beating of the drum seems to direct the entire music video. She hits the drum exactly 12 times, and after the 7th, 9th, and 10th hit, the corresponding member comes out on screen. Like how the drum beat sets the tempo of a song, Olivia's drum sets the tempo for Loona to act on. As Hyunjin guides the girls forward with her smoke signal, Olivia sets the tempo to keep them in time. In PTT, Olivia Hye's scene is doused in red. My theory is that as she sets the pace and the framework for the rest of the girls to work from with her drum, her being surrounded with red and fire shows her power to protect them as well. Not that there is necessarily something in particular that is trying to stop them, but protect them in a way that reinforces their plans and makes it strong enough to hold over time. They are working in a space of total chaos, so in order to make a strong universe, she creates the order with her drum. The significance of Chu's scenes is easy to miss. It is a metaphor they build throughout all her scenes in the music video. She spends the beginning of the music video reaching up towards the light that comes through the skylight. After the scene showing the Earth orbiting around the moon, we see a scene of the Earth orbiting around Chu. In For All Lunas Around the World, the narrator tells us that the moon does not shine by itself, it reflects the light of the sun. So as Chu stands dancing in the sun with the Earth orbiting around her, she is meant to represent the moon. Following the pattern of Hyunjin and Olivia Hye being the guide and the anchor of the team, Chu, as the moon, must be a part of the core since this metaphor paints her as the moon itself. She creates a place for Loona to gather around like the Earth orbiting around the moon to work best as a group. Loona finds themselves in a completely unfamiliar place, and they all have different opinions on how to move forward. They have a whole new world of things to discover and create in order to carve a new space for themselves and for all the girls in the world as they have now united as one. Aside from this, they still carry pains from their past with them into this new space that is left unsolved, and new rifts are created while trying to decide on a direction to go. Loona has reached a turning point the likes of which they've never seen before. Despite this monumental challenge ahead of them, they forge on together as one group. Why not Star and PTT demonstrate to us that Loona's teamwork and power as a group of 12 won't be wavered by the problems to solve ahead?